Hello everyone. If you had the idea of buying a home and you've been on YouTube learning recently, there's a good chance you probably encountered a housing market crash video. It's what's hot right now. It's hotter than blue couches and a very cool backdrops with the treadmill. It's getting lots of views, lots of trending, and to be honest with you, I've been making videos about it, and here I am thinking, man, my videos must be pretty freaking great. Turns out the only reason why they're doing well is because there's some really good people making videos about this. So I figured what I want to do is basically create a tier list of the videos that to me best explain to any potential consumer what's upcoming, what's coming. Because once again, no one really knows what's going to happen with the market crash. Please know that although there will be tiered, all of these videos are pretty awesome. They're already all S tier amazing videos, but for the sake of the video, I do have to rank them from best to worst. No hard feelings. Let's get started with the first video I've watched, which is Jaspreet Singh with Minority Mindset. He had a great emphasis on first-time homebuyers. Believe it or not a lot of them talk about first-time homebuyers. They're talking more about the market. I loved his point about euphoria. He talks about how there was the dot-com boom, the housing market boom in 2008, the Bitcoin thing. There's always this euphoria. A lot of people didn't really talk about the emotion that comes with these rises and falls. So I like that he's suggesting that there will be eventual euphoria with these housing prices and people are going to start buying. And he did say he hasn't seen it yet, but one correction I do have for you is being in the real estate industry, helping home buyers and sellers, primarily first-time home buyers. I want to say for the last 5 to 6 years, there's been a lot of people who have made a lot of money wholesaling and doing fix and flips. And it's been really easy. As a matter of fact, you didn't even have to flip your house. I've purchased a house and sold it 3 years later and would make $50,000-$40,000 of pure profit. So it's been very easy, and that euphoria I think has been around for the past, I want to say 5 to 6 years with first-time home buyers primarily. And what you're seeing now, what you're feeling now, which is this intense pain now of the home buying market, is that euphoria not living up to its standards. There's a lot of people that had said, oh, hey, well, my cousin bought like years ago that they made a lot of money. How can I not make a lot of money? Well, maybe I should be buying, et cetera, et cetera. He does talk about how there's about 3 million people who are in forbearance right now. And if, let's say, they were all to come up with the forbearance and they can't come up with the money, well, it's going to be a lot more than the 2.3 million people that were served foreclosure papers in 2008, and how massive that negatively affected everything. The 3 million is going to affect everything. However, and I do agree with him, we don't know if the 3 million people are people who are simply just taking the forbearance just because and they don't really need it. Overall, his video was pretty solid. I think after watching more of the videos, I feel like he's very, very knowledgeable and really great at most topics. I wouldn't say he's the master class level of real estate knowledge and housing market knowledge, but because he's so well balanced with every kind of financial sector, he makes great videos about budgeting and all kinds of stuff. He has a very solid point about this. So I would definitely put him as a market crash Chad. So definitely rank him as an A, not a mega Chad for sure, where he's a complete master of the market crash. But I want to give him a really high ranking for sure because he knows what he's talking about, and it's definitely worth your look. Now, next one is going to be Graham Stephan, the daddy of the real estate YouTube space. Even though he really doesn't make a lot of videos about real estate anymore, I was really excited to watch this video because I was thinking that he was really going to, talk to me and, I was going to get lost in his eyes. I want to tell you I was a little underwhelmed. The name of the title of the video is, the market, they just got worse, right? And I feel like a lot of the video was directed towards landlords. He was talking more about the rental, the potential crisis happening with the forbearance. He talked about people paying the rent, not paying the rent. At one point, humanizing landlords, like he was defending them. So it's clear that he's definitely a landlord, and he probably owns a lot of properties on the investing side, and perhaps he's standing up for his fellow landlords right now. Regarding the housing market crash statistics, and although I'll be honest with you, the video is not about housing market crash, but it talks about the housing crisis. So, kind of neck and neck. It didn't really do that great of a job explaining what's happening, what's going to happen. But I want to say when it comes to this video, not the best here. Now, he doesn't care. And he shouldn't care. He's having way more views than all of us put combined. So I'm sure for him, he makes a lot of videos about different topics. He's more a YouTuber than a finance real estate guy. So I'm sure it's water off his back. I will have to say that, unfortunately for Mr. Graham Stephan, I'm going to put you in the oof, C ranking. Very solid video. You should definitely watch it if you're a fan of his. But I would say there's definitely a little better options out there. when it comes to housing market stuff. If you want someone to lose, get lost in their eyes, then of course he's the man. I want to make a quick amendment here. I realize he actually did make a video about maybe 2 weeks ago or a week ago about the market, and he did a much better job explaining things and did a really, really great job in my opinion. So I will bump him up into a B. So I apologize about that. Next I want to talk about is Marco. Now, here's why I'm talking about Marco. He made about 1 or 2 videos last 2 or 3 months. I want to say that he does a very, very solid job of just calmly explaining what's happening. I love the whole concept of the whiteboard behind him. I love how, he kind of just casually tells you the world's ending as he writes it down. So this is how you're going to die. Yes, you're going to die here. The market's going to crash here. And I think out of all of them, he probably does the best job of simplifying very complicated topics. So I want to just kind of throw him in there. Although he hasn't made a lot of housing market crash videos like some of these guys here, he deserves to have his hat in the ring, because the videos he had made, they have a lot of views, but not as much as the other guys. And I feel like he really did a great job. So I will definitely put him as a B, housing market crash guy, because although he doesn't get too into the nitty gritty and into the details of like, here, this is what's going to happen, he's very solid and it's definitely worth your view. So check him out. Just don't throw that in there. If Graham Stephan's the real estate daddy, he's Meet Kevin is the real estate stepdaddy. Everyone knows Meet Kevin is. Come on, I mean, seriously. Funny story about Meet Kevin. I think like 5 years ago when I was like miserable with my job, I was not doing a good job. I remember I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft, and I remember he wasn't a YouTuber then, but he had like a WoW video about like a commercial, and his commercial actually made me call him, and I called him like 5 years ago before he did YouTube videos exclusively, and he had a conversation with me, just about, I don't even remember what we talked about, but I have a positive memory of that. So he probably doesn't remember. He probably gets crazy people that calls him all the time, but I remember I saw his growth. I was, oh man, he's getting bigger. He's getting bigger. And then now, of course, he's the real estate stepdaddy. Very majorly solid in a little select group of topics. I can tell from watching Meet Kevin's video, which it's been about maybe a month or 2 since he's updated it. He did make a recent one talking about like, which I did watch that one as well, but that one doesn't really get in. It's just more of a warning signs for you to look out for. Meet Kevin's video was solid. When I'm watching a Meet Kevin video, I feel like I'm talking to like one of my smart friends, and smart friends is talking and throwing all these words around, and you're just like, yeah, just nodding your head so that way your smart friend thinks that that you're smart too and you're following along, but you're really lost. That's how I feel watching Meet Kevin. Very solid. I wouldn't say it doesn't do a great job simplifying things, but I think if you're a Chad like myself, I'm sorry, I can't stop there. If you're in your economy chatty, you know what's going on with the market and whatnot, not only housing, but stocks and all that stuff, you can keep up. I feel like he's also coming from a perspective of the rental side, not necessarily home buyer, like first time home buyer. The only one that really touched on that was Jaspreet. There's going to be volatility caused essentially by the rental eviction crisis that's going to happen when on the 31st, people are going to be evicted. I think he made some great points actually in this video about certain ways this can get prevented, like with Congress intervention, with the Senate coming in and coming up with some relief bills. Dude, I've had my hat on the whole time. I just realized that. Sorry about that. I just don't trust that the government's going to get their stuff together. They're always going to go with whoever's putting money in their pocket, not necessarily the people. So I think it's very generous to say they're going to figure it out and give us some stimulus. So I do appreciate his sentiment, though, of him explaining and keeping us in the loop about that, because there will be an urgent need for some kind of stimulus soon. Super, super solid topic. Definitely going to put him up as a market crash Chad. He knows what he's talking about. Let's have the face down of the century here. Let's start off with Ken McElroy. Is that how you say it? First and foremost, I see we have a fellow dad shirt wearer. I want to say that as a fellow dad shirt wearer myself, I am just a mere mortal in the dad shirt world, but I acknowledge you are definitely the dad shirt supreme. So thank you, sir, for all your service. Here's the thing about Ken's videos, specifically the one where he responded to Meet Kevin. I feel like I'm just getting one of those valuable conversations from my dad. Have you ever had those conversations you never forget with your parents, where they sit down and they just make you realize something that just opens up your mind, like, oh wow, like you're right, maybe I shouldn't be doing that, or maybe I shouldn't be sneaking out at 2 a.m. right? He clearly knows his stuff. He says he has over 10,000 apartments. He was board members of this. He's part of this union. And what I like about his video is he's actually giving you website links as he's talking. I think it was very solid. I think the links he provides are very solid. I think Even me watching that video, I felt like a amateur. I felt like an amateur. I felt like he clearly knows his stuff and he has such a profound knowledge. And not only that, but the experience of him actually mentioning what he went through with the housing crisis of 2008 was really enlightening. I love how he talks about the issues happening that were pre-COVID. Like there was a lot of issues already in the industry, like homelessness. He talks some things about rentals as well. Everyone thinks it was just gravy beforehand. It really wasn't. There was a lot of issues and that he does bring up that I really, really am a fan of. But here's my honest take on it. Obviously, I'm just a squire. He knows a lot more. I think he has a master perspective of a real estate investor. I'm not shy about this. You know, I'm not a guy that owns 500 apartments, let alone 5 or 10 houses for rent. I'm someone who helps a lot of first-time home buyers and sellers. So as I was watching this guy, I'm probably in the same shoe as you guys, really heavily leaning on the whole rental part of it, right? The eviction crisis, which yes, it does have a part to play in the housing market crash if there is going to be one, but you just can tell the verbiage coming from as an investor to another investor, right? I don't think he's necessarily talking to first-time home buyers. I don't think he's necessarily talking to the home sellers who are a little nervous. I think it's still a video you should watch. It's 100% worth your watch. But I have to say there is a leaning towards the investing side of things, which is good to know because if you have a very solid understanding of the investing space in real estate, you're probably 98% ready to buy a home as a first-time home buyer. Let's just get it right straight. But you know, if I have to find something, that's what I'm going to have to say. I think he does an amazing job of giving the perspective of an investor, talking about the major effect of displacement with rental evictions. He talks about essentially that's going to be the main catalyst, right, that kicks things off. But I want to say something here because, you know, he's saying that, you know, as soon as people start getting evicted, it's going to be a big issue and, you know, it's going to be one of the catalysts, et cetera, et cetera. I grew up poor. My mom, we lived in a not so great area. She rented an apartment for $500 a month. I'm assuming not a great area, right? I saw my family, my friends, myself, you know, we would move place to place. And I want to say this, when you evict somebody, they don't just go become homeless. I know there are cases of that happening, but coming from a Hispanic household, I would like to say my mom and dad were scrappy. They don't just give up and just, okay, whatever. They're going to find another place to rent. And now what happens with that place they were renting is now they're going to be looking for someone, and whoever got kicked out or evicted from the wherever other house are now coming to rent there. So I think of it being a major crash, I'm not too sure about that. I don't think the effect is going to be as grand because, I mean, I have 100% trust and belief in the American people that they're a lot more scrappy than people are making them seem. I think that if there is going to be holes left of evictions of vacant houses that need to be rented out, someone else is going to fill that, and those people that were evicted are going to fill another hole, and you know it'll kind of lighten out. I just have to say that from my perspective, hearing him talk, not as a master investor, but someone who was on the other side. You know, I feel like people are not just going to be like, oh no, you know, we got evicted. What do we do? I think people, if they haven't been paying the rent, are going to have some money to start with the deposit, with not just giving up. So when it comes to Ken McElroy, I want to say he's a very, very solid market crash mega chad. Yeah, he's definitely up there. Even though it's a little intimidating, it's still worth your watch. You should definitely watch and get his perspective. It's definitely a very crucial piece of the pie to come. And when you talk to your realtor, you can mention things that you're probably going to honestly stumping them on. Watch his video, and when you're buying a house, talk to your realtor. I bet you some of these things he mentions, if you bring up, they're just gonna be like, huh? Last but not least, Mr. Neil McCoy Ward. It really struck a chord with me when he's talked about the low wages, low credit, low employment. I was there for that, right? Our people between 2010 to 2015, you didn't have to make a lot of money. You didn't have to have an amazing credit score. You didn't have to have a great employment. There was a lot of down payment assistance programs and credits. Your credit didn't have to be so high. So he made a really great point now how that's basically flip-flopped. And now it's complete opposite. You have to, if you want to buy, you have to have amazing credit, wage, and you have to have, of course, amazing job history. So I found that very interesting. He mentioned one of the big things happening is the high unemployment being one of the first things to start the crash. And I want to say at the time he made this video, there was a massive spike of unemployment, but I want to say since then, it sharply did drop. I mean, I can't blame the guy. He's not a time traveler, right? How was he to know it was going to go down? But using the information he had in hand, of course, it looked like there was a crash imminent with all the people losing their jobs. You know, but I just want to mention, if you do watch that, it has dipped down significantly. He does mention that crash should be happening right now, but it stopped because of the forbearance. I would have to agree with that. I don't know if it would have been a crash. I think there would have been an adjustment, but For sure, I agree with him 100% on that. That the government interference did affect something. Seems very educated on the economy sector, like banking, and he mentions these terms, central bank, and all this stuff. And once again, another person you need to really highly regard because he seems very experienced. I don't know what he did beforehand, but whatever he was involved in, clearly he was involved in some clearly very highly educated, not only in housing but just a general good sense of the market economy as a whole. And overall, I think he does a really amazing job of explaining the instability not only of housing but the economy as a whole. But I will say this, I can see why he's blowing up right now. To put this back on, I can see his massive growth happening because it seems to be all negative. It seems to be like the crash is coming. You know, the thumbnails are bright red video letters, and I can see someone who is really genuinely involved in hoping for a market crash will keep watching his videos because he's giving them that sweet hit of adrenaline of it's happening, it's happening. So I will say this, as if I have to find a critique, is what I liked about Jasprit is he said what could happen and he could set the solution. Me, Kevin did this as well. What could happen? Here's a solution. What could happen? Here's a solution. I think it's important as educators to not, give just one side of the equation. You want to make sure to try to throw in some good news once in a while, but I also understand that it's also our job to educate you as much as possible. So I don't mind him giving you guys the honest truth about what could go wrong and what's negative with happening right now. But I can see how a certain demographic of people who really want that negative news of like, yes, the market's gonna crash. Probably the ones that are commenting something really bad right now because I'm saying all this, love him. So I will say that for sure, Neil, I have to give him a market crash mega chat. I mean, just have to. He's just clearly so involved and invested in it. I want to say, though, if I could, put him like halfway between an S, a markets, a mega chat, and a Chad. If there was a category here, I would put him there because I just feel Ken's approach is a little more wholesome, a little more educational. I love that he throws links at you and things like that. So I want to say for sure, Ken is the top for, in my opinion. Neil is right under him. So once again, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you did, at the end of the day, guys, I'm just some freaking loser on YouTube who makes videos when instead of going to sell houses. So that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. Love you. Bye.